Oh, hello everyone. It's Susie Crypto Granny here. The date's the 18th of 4th, 2023, and in Europe it's 13 past 4 in the afternoon. Now, there's a lot to discuss today. There's some big events happening today, which we're going to watch with absolute excitement, I've got to say. Gensler's live on TV today with the on Capitol Hill, and it's going to be very, very interesting. But let's just go through the data very quickly. Bitcoin overnight got to 29,930. The low was 29,174. 33,000 coins were traded. And currently Bitcoin, according to Live Coin Watch, excuse me, is at 30,348. Ethereum is at 2,110. Bitcoin's outperforming Ethereum, as I suspected. UST is slightly off the dollar. Binance is 347. Looks very good. Binance, technically, it looks like it can go to 420 easy. XRP looks pretty good too, 0.52, got to break 55 cents to go off to the races. ADA at 44. OakB's been a great performer for us. We bought this one at 13 bucks, really cheap. Dodge 0.09, Matic $1.17, looks pretty good technically too. Solana looks great technically. DOT is seriously cheap, 6.94. Litecoin's going for their halving on the 6th of August, so that one's going to be very, very well supported. And AVEX is starting to look good as well. And Arbitrum's had a good run today as well. So let's quickly look at the market cap, 1.310 trillion, volumes at 39.114 bill, very low. Liquidity's at pretty good at 5 bill, and Bitcoin dominance is 44.8%. Still staying there because there is no Bitcoin. Very, very clear to me. So you don't short Bitcoin, you've got to be crazy, right? Why short this market? It's in a bull mega run, and I'm bullish right to the end of the year. I believe Bitcoin will get to 100,000 easy this year. It will take out its highs, regardless of the SEC, regardless of the Fed and their rate rises, okay? So let's look at this today. The big thing today is Mr. Gensler, the SEC Chair, Gary Gensler, testifies before Congress, and my God, does he need to. It is ET time today at 4 p.m., and it is live, so check that out. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I was very active on Twitter today about Mr. Gensler. I'm of the view that he should be replaced. I don't think he's practical enough. He's too much like an academic. He's got no friggin' idea. He reckons that the regulation is very clear, but he's not listening to people, and it's not clear at all. And as I said on Twitter, a consequence of that is people are leaving the US in the droves, anything to do with cryptocurrency exchanges or crypto. The US is losing technology. It's really bad. They're losing their position as the global leader of technology. There will be job losses, and we've seen that with the IT tech job losses up at 170,000 already, which is more than last year's job losses. Lots of investment in the US, decline in innovation, competitive, and certainly China and Asia to dominate, and blame the SEC for that. The BRIC countries, which again are, Brazil, Asia, China, South Africa, and a few others, right? It's not great. We've already seen that Bybit has moved out of the US. Nexo moved out. Bittrex is moving out. Deribit went. Hubi's out. Polynex. Now Coinbase is talking about moving out, and could Ripple be the next one to move out? It wouldn't surprise me at all. Gary Gensler, the chair, SEC chair, will have to testify before the House Financial Services Committee today about his personal views on the crypto market and personal regulation. I've got to ask, what is this guy? What drugs is this guy on it? Seriously. This came from John Reed Stark. Thank you very much. The SEC is now charged crypto asset trading platform Bexy and Bittrex for operating an unregistered national security exchange. Who's next, as this fellow says? Will it be Coinbase? Will it be Kraken? They both got Wells notices, that's my understanding, and obviously Ripple. Will they all move out? And it doesn't surprise me because I think they will. It's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker. The SEC's complaint alleges that BitTrue and former CEO deliberately avoided the federal securities law registration requirement by telling crypto asset issuers to remove statements from their offering materials that would suggest that they were securities. They go on to say that Bittrex earned $1.3 billion in revenue and fees, and they violated the securities law. And honestly, this guy, it's just a joke. What drugs is this man on? Seriously, SEC Chair Gary Gensler said the crypto market suffers from a lack of regulatory compliance, not a lack of regulatory clarity, and cosmetic alterations did nothing to change the underlying economic realities of the offering, and that they were securities. I mean, Oh, he's not listening to anyone, this guy. He really isn't. Now there's a big thing about him and Olga Korn. You know, again, this guy just seems to be very, very inconsistent. And people are actually saying we don't understand the regulation. You know, we've tried to talk to you guys for years and years and years. Nexo tried to talk to the SEC for 2 years. They paid the fine, 25 million to the SEC and 25 million to a state regulator, and they just got out of the US, right? It's just that easy, right? Now, apparently there was a video about Gensler, Gary Gensler, talking about Algorand about 4 years ago and saying, you know, that it was a great crypto as such. He was, some people say he was shilling this. And again, this doesn't, you know, this is not consistent with what the hell this guy's been talking about. He said it was a great technology, possibility of integrating with Uber or Lyft. You know, there's a conflict of interest here, seriously. And with Mr. Gensler, there was also a conflict of interest with SBF and FTX exchange, okay? One of the biggest corporate collapses in the history of the US, bigger than Enron, right? And the compliance and the regulatory, you know, SBF didn't follow any of that, okay? But he was a good mate of Mr. Gensler, right? It's not great. And the thing is, this is just absolute hypocrisy, seriously, absolute hypocrisy. People in the US that are part of corporate crypto environment or the exchanges don't know where they're Arthur and Martha, because the regulatory environment is so onerous. There's so many regulators in the States, you haven't got a clue who's who, right, in the universe. It's a joke, right? So, you know, this guy has lost a lot of credibility, and you've got to ask yourself, is Mr. Gensler the right person in the SEC as the chairman of the SEC? I mean, he's killing American innovation and technology, and American innovation and technology are falling behind to Asia and the BRIC companies, right? You know, some people saying I'm absolutely outstanding and astonished by what Mr. Gensler thinks. You can't just ignore the rules and then make them up for your own benefit, right? And again, conflict of interest, inconsistency, hypocritical, you name it, right? I mean, it's a bit hard to take this guy seriously when apparently he was talking up Algorand, and now he's saying to Bittrex, we're suing you because you are selling Algorand, which we now call a security. Get real. I mean, fair income. You know, they're citing Dash, TKN, Naga, Amiga, OMG, Real Estate, and Algorand. I mean, you know, who's going to believe this guy, right? I mean, it's just too much. Too much indeed. Let me just get a glass of water. Bear with me for a minute. Oops, top's got to come off, of course. I mean, honestly, guys and girls and guys, babies in the woods, I roll my eyes with this stuff. I really, really do. This live testimony, I tell you, is going to be very interesting. I'll come back with a report tomorrow. But, you know, this guy, as far as I'm concerned, is just not the right person, right? You know, he said that many people in the crypto market have ignored the rules and the regulations, but many people have been talking to the SEC, you know, for the last 5 years. They haven't been living in caves and not reaching out to the SEC, and the SEC hasn't been helping them. And they're very aggressive and arrogant. And, you know, any other country in the world, it's peer-to-peer. You know, you go to and you negotiate with the authorities and the regulators and everything else, right? But this guy is not doing this. And, you know, he believes that he's acting in the best interest of the investors. No, he's not. He is clearly not. What about happened with FTX exchange? He was supposed to be very close to that. And Mr. Gensler failed. He failed, right? I mean, he said the market is rife with non-compliance because people don't understand what they need to do, right, in terms of the regulatory environment. So I've got to say, this guy, you know, again, Congressman Warren Davidson prepares to introduce legislation to remove Gary Gensler from the SEC chair position. And I would be surprised if this guy keeps his job. I mean, we all have to, you know, in our work or jobs, KPIs, we have performance indicators and all this sort of thing. And I think his performance has been abysmal. That's what I think. When this cryptocurrency technology is bigger than the internet, okay? Bigger than the internet. Also, another regulator, you know, again, the New York Department of Financial Services have brought in some sort of thing where, you know, there's another cost to oversight duties, right? Where people have to pay some sort of regulation fee to be regulated, right? It's just beyond me. How can you grow in the US when there's so many different state regulatory environments as well as the federal regulatory environments, right? They've created some framework for high standards consumer protection, but they're not helping the consumer either, because every exchange in the US is starting to move out of the US. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, we've got Deribit that move out. We've got Bittrex that's moving out. We got Nexo that moved out. Kraken's going to move out. Coinbase has mentioned they're going to move out. The next will be Ripple. Seriously, it just goes on and on and on. Hester Peirce stated the proposed amendments to the definition of exchange render innovation kaput. Again, this is really, really bad for the US. He said the problem doesn't exist except stifling innovation in the process, right? The US regulatory environment is killing the cryptocurrency market, and purposely so. What is their gain when Hong Kong is opening up, Dubai is opening up, and everywhere else is opening up, and people are flourishing? I mean, Kraken, have to settle. Coinbase have to settle with a Wells notice. And again, who else gets it? Everyone keeps getting these Wells notices, right? It's just beyond me. And honestly, I think they need to, change the chair. Seriously. Kraken just released today they've secured a license in Ireland. And again, they're getting out of the US because there is a lack of clarity. Now, not every operating exchanges can be stupid. You know what I'm saying? It's right across the board in terms of cryptocurrency corporations, right? No one knows what's going on because there's too many regulatory environments in the US. It's overgoverned and people are getting killed, right? And so therefore, people are getting out. Even Gemini is looking to go to Canada, right? Brian Armstrong from Coinbase said that, the UK might be a nice place to have a look at, or Paris or Hong Kong or whatever, because, the jurisdiction in the US is chaotic. It's not consistent. It's killing them. And they're spending way too much time on compliance and not growing their businesses, okay? Bittrex calls out the SEC's crusade against crypto firms. It is a joke. Gary Gensler just wants to kill innovation and technology by fining everyone. The SEC, when they fine people, these fines are huge. How do they determine these fines? Seriously, they are huge. And where does the money go? Honestly, where does the money go? So, all these questions, right? It's a shopper. Mr. Gensler says the path to compliance is clear. No, it's not. You're not listening to the cryptocurrency market, man. What drugs are you on? Fair income. CEO's Coinbase said he is going to really relocate because there's no regulatory clarity in the US, okay? It's killing him, absolutely killing him. And so is Binance US. Changpeng Zhao wouldn't surprise me if he moves out of the US, and therefore US investors in cryptocurrency don't get the services they need. It is detrimental to US investors, not only US investors, but the whole growth of the US economy in terms of technology and incredible innovation, which, again, Asia and the BRIC countries are taking over. It is really, really bad. And Gensler is not listening. He's not listening, and is arrogant, and is not listening. So this meeting at 4 o'clock with Capitol Hill is going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Also, the UAE is killing it. Many people are going to United Arab Emirates, right, and Dubai, right? And their businesses are growing because they're fed up with what's happening in the US. We saw Bybit do that. They went to Dubai and they're growing their business. Again, Bybit reports 50% increase in users, and they've got now a new headquarter in Dubai, right? In the World Trade Center in Dubai. And they're getting innovation, all sorts of things, and they're growing all the time rather than putting up with compliance in the US, which is stifling their company, right? It wouldn't surprise me that even some of the big investment banks decided to get out of the US because it is so litigious, so litigious. The corporate lawyers in the US must be making a fortune, seriously. Goldman Sachs is big into crypto. They're offering a new platform to professionals. It's called Visual Structuring Derivatives, Price Discovery, and Trade Ideas. In a press release, they said they've made it available to institutional clients, and there is a lot of demand for crypto. But again, you know, this compliance from the US is so onerous. You could have anyone move out of the US. And I think Ripple will, certainly if they lose their case against the SEC. There is no doubt about it in my mind, okay? Now, VeChain are doing extremely well. They're very cheap coin, very, very, very cheap. They've launched a Web3 service platform to eliminate barriers to blockchain adoption. This is one of the cheapest coins on the market, people. VeChain, they're huge in China. Their supply chain management, they are amazing, amazing. They have proof authority. They're fast, they're cheap. You know, again, they have incredible clients, and they are cheap, 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 people. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Now, also, Gala did their airdrop the other day with a new token version, and that happened on the 15th. But, you know, again, this whole compliance issue is very, very scary, okay? And, you know, it needs to be looked at. Another thing, too, Polygon sent a letter to the European Union asking to amend smart contract rules, forcing inadvertent centralization. It's, again, the regulators need to understand cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency technology, right? The company wrote a joint letter and basically said, you're inhibiting innovation, economic growth. At least the European Union will listen to them, a part of MiCA, a part of their MiCA regulation in terms of cryptocurrency regulation. And they've asked them to, you know, change some of the wording because it's basically creating centralization, okay? You know, to ensure that, you know, again, what they're advising in terms of the European Union is similar to the markets in crypto assets MiCA regulation, which supports fully decentralized cryptocurrency projects, okay? So that's a big story in itself. And also what was interesting, I thought I brought this up as well, which is a little bit different, but Apple apparently doing something with Goldman Sachs about increasing their savings account rate for people to save with them, which I find very interesting indeed. Are Apple thinking about going into crypto? I don't know. They should have been, because apparently Apple have 2 billion active devices worldwide. And, you know, again, they've been late to the party in terms of cryptocurrency. Now, let's have a look at some of the coin I think is very, very cheap at the moment. Very, very cheap. And this is my spreadsheet with a Sharpe ratio on it. And, you know, again, some of the Sharpe ratios, like VeChain is very cheap. GRT is still cheap. I see Litecoin is cheap. I see DOT is cheap. OMG is cheap. Nexo is cheap. I see Atom is cheap. I see Waves is incredibly cheap. Power, Solano, Tezos, Pro. I mean, there's so many cheap coins, people. How can anyone be short the crypto market? It is beyond me. It is absolutely beyond me. You know, we are seeing a mega of a rally, and you just cannot be short this market, right? Even fan tokens are going up a lot. OG has been a massive surprise to us. We bought this at $2.60 and we sold it about $9.80, and now it's at $12, right? There's some cheap coin around, Certic, Fetch, AI, you know, IOTX, you name it. And honestly, even Wirex is cheap. Seriously, how can anyone be short this cryptocurrency market? It is beyond me. Anyway, let's keep an eye out for this Gary Gensler. I think today it's going to be very exciting, very interesting. I really don't believe this government, this fellow is practical enough and technology wise enough in terms of cryptocurrency technology. And the US needs a big change. Otherwise, it's going to be seriously too late for them to be at the top of innovation and cryptocurrency technology, which in my mind is bigger than the internet. And also, baby in the woods, I'm mega bullish this crypto market. You just don't go short this market. You got to be nuts. There's no Bitcoin left, so it's very obvious to me. Anyway, that's enough for me today. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you.